let me tell you, his fans, bro, his fans like him because he's white. They don't fuck with us.
Let me try to make
Eminem. I dusted Eminem. Rap Elvis, bitch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How about that?
I ain't gonna lie.
How about that? How come he ain't answered back? How come he ain't answered me? I'll beat the shit out of him with these.
Eminem or Machine Gun Kelly?
Eminem, bro.
So which
Eminem,
so
bro?
Which one?
Neither. Both of them, bro.
So I guess
Cassidy will kill Eminem in a battle rap, bro. Why do y'all give Eminem so much props? Why? Why do y'all like Eminem? Because he's white? Is that it? What do you mean? Nah, like, what? That. We don't listen to that in the hood, bro.
A few moments later.
I don't got nothing against Eminem. I got nothing against Eminem. Eminem can rap, but I care about us more. I don't want to go through, I don't want to talk about it no more. I don't want to, for 22 years, every time I do an interview, they ask me about Eminem. What the f you want me to do? Come on, man. My daughter came into the industry figuring that, hey, I got to be cool with Eminem because everybody's against my dad. You think this shit is cool? Nah, man. We're failing as a people. I don't hate Eminem. I don't know him to hate him. I don't hate white people. Tired of this shit, man. It's just too much. I don't want to be the bad guy. I got an 8-year-old son that I dropped off at school this morning. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm all right. I don't want my DMs filled with, I've had 9 pages knocked down, 1 million. White people think, I love all people. Come on, man. All me and Eminem got to do is sit down and talk with each other. Let's sit down and talk. Let's battle. Let's do whatever. But let's at least face to face meet each other.
If that was to happen, would you give him a 5?
Fuck it, man. I'd hug him.
So I was just scrolling on Twitter and I came across this video and I found it both interesting and kind of sad, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I get it. Benzino kind of put himself in this situation, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that, and a lot of people feel that way because he has talked shit about Eminem in interviews for years. Now, it's not his fault he's being asked about him, but it's definitely his fault that he's approaching it the way he is. Like, he could have easily said exactly what he said in this interview on Drink Champs, where he's like, I don't know that man to hate him. We had a back and forth. I have no problem with him. I wish him the best. And that would have probably ended it. As far as I know, the only reason that Eminem dropped any diss in that Lyrical Lemonade song was because of the fact that Benzino continues to talk about him in interviews. And that's what kind of re-sparked all of this stuff. But to hear that he's been being harassed for like 22 years by Eminem fans, it doesn't really surprise me. But at the same time, it's like, it's kind of crazy, right? Like, there are a portion of Eminem fans, just like there's a portion of Nicki Minaj fans, and honestly, any fan base. It's just that their fan bases are so big that that portion ends up being bigger than most, and it's just toxic people that blindly follow the person that they like, and they feel like they need to do negative shit in their name to defend their honor. That's what it feels like, at least. And so they send horrible messages. They dox people. Like with Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion thing going on, Nicki's fans, at least a portion of them, not all of them, but they doxed where her mother is buried. And they're saying they should go and desecrate Megan Thee Stallion's mother's grave. Like, how crazy do you have to be to think that that makes any logical sense to do and that Nicki would really want that? Now, Nicki's not coming out and saying not to do that because I feel like she's a little bit petty and she's like, listen, you brought this on yourself. And I can understand that to an extent, the same as it's not always Eminem's job to be like, hey guys, you know, calm it down. Like, these people decided to do what they did, go at the person they did, and this is a part of that. But it's like 22 years of feeling like you're constantly under the finger of Eminem. Every interview you do, they ask about him. Every day you're probably getting DMs and people that are fans of him saying that you should die, you should this, you should that. Like, it's got to be rough. Like, as someone who does YouTube, I'm not nearly on any of their level, but like when you get a negative message, like that shit does hit home sometimes. Like over time, you get a little bit more numb to it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's like, it's just a shitty feeling, right? And so for him, it's got to be on a crazy scale. I commend him for coming at it the way that he did in this Drink Champs interview. In the second half of it, obviously in the first part, he was just going in. And I think that a lot of that anger comes from the fact that he can't seem to escape it, right? Like, I don't think that he really feels like F Eminem, but it's just he's hearing about him so often. His fans are on his ass so often that the anger needs to be directed somewhere. And just, anonymous B, Mitch from California, like these random people that he doesn't know, it's hard to put that energy towards them. So you put it towards the person that they follow. That is the reason behind them doing what they're doing, right? Even though it's not really his fault. So I can understand it to an extent, I really can. But at the same time, I feel like the way he approached it in this interview is exactly how he should have approached it years ago when he started to get asked about Eminem and they weren't going back and forth anymore. He should have just said, listen, I don't know that man. I don't hate that man. I wish him the best. And I feel like a lot of this wouldn't be where it is today. It's the fact that he responds with the venom that he responds with, so to speak, where he gets upset and he says some shit about it. And I understand to an extent, but there is responsibility on his side to try to squash this, to try to go through connections and try to reach out to Eminem, to have the conversation he says he wants to have with him, to give him the hug that he claims that he would give him, to try to put all of this behind him and say, listen, we don't have to be friends, but I have absolutely no issues with you. They just continue to ask me about you in interviews. Like, there's a responsibility on his side as well. So it's a tricky situation, right? Especially when you have a daughter that is in the industry in the same genre of the person that you have a problem with, who's considered one of, if not the biggest artists in that genre. Thankfully, Eminem doesn't really go at her. He just said, I guess that Coi Leray feature is, not going to happen, which it sounds like that means he would be down to do it. But obviously, because of the fact that Benzino continues to talk about him, he felt like he needed to take shots in that Lyrical Lemonade song. And then obviously we got Rap Elvis, which I still do think is one of the best disses towards Eminem. But I feel like instead of that, he should have just came out and been like, listen, this back and forth is so old, man. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I have no issues with you. They just continue to ask me about you in every single interview. And I'm just to the point where I don't know what to say anymore. And I get a little bit angry. Like, I feel like if he would have handled it that way, it would have went so differently. At this point, I don't know that it's going to change anything. I don't know if Eminem will see this and ever decide, you know what, let me sit down with him. We're grown men now. We don't have to have this back and forth, because it depends on what Benzino said. I don't know what he said throughout all these years. I don't know if he's talked about Eminem's family, his daughter, I don't know how personal he got, because depending on how personal he got, sometimes people just don't let that shit go. And I'm totally behind not letting it go when it gets to a certain point, because it's like you've crossed the line. And at this point, this is how it's always going to be. But when you think about it, like, MGK is still getting shit too. Like, anybody who really goes to Eminem, you get shit. And some of it is like just kind of jabs and fun from people that are just fans of M, but some people take it to very extreme toxic levels. It's just an unfortunate thing about having a fan base. I feel like every celebrity, every musician, every person out there that has a large fan base has a percentage of people that are just really toxic, that feel like they need to do horrible things in honor of the person that they're a fan of. But with Eminem and Nicki Minaj and some of these people with monstrous fan bases, that small percentage equals out to be thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. And that shit becomes very daunting when you're one of the people that get into a problem with them, and you have to constantly weed through DMs, and you have families getting, death threats sent to them because they find out where your mom lives, your sister lives, your cousin lives, and everybody starts to get it. It becomes a little bit crazy. I feel like this was good. I'm happy that he decided to approach it and got a little wild in the beginning, but I'm happy that he came to, and I think it's because he's probably drunk. He went through the phases of anger, and it was like a breakup, he went through a lot of shit, but he got to the emotional side where he's like, listen, I don't have a problem with that man. We just need to sit down. I'd give him a hug. And, it makes me happy to see that, because as much as we've been throwing shots at Benzino and stuff, he is a person. He has feelings. He might come across like, F this, F that, Eminem ain't shit, da 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 da. Like, but at the end of the day, he's no different than us, who goes home, eats, spends time with his family, wants to go to sleep. Like he said, he just dropped off his 8-year-old son at school. Thankfully, he's only 8. There's probably not going to be much harassment around it. But as he gets older, young people are still fans of M. His music is timeless. Like, they're going to catch shit, right? And it's not fair, but there's going to be those people out there that are going to do that. And I think it's smart of him to try to go the way of approaching it to kind of squash it, as opposed to continuing it anymore, because it's been forever. And if this shit is weighing on you to the point where you respond like that, I feel like you're hurting your own mental space at this point. And it's not worth it. There's not anything you're going to get out of it. It's just pointless. So just wanted to talk about this. I saw it pop up on my Twitter feed and I thought it was pretty interesting. Let me know what you guys thought down below, and I will catch you in the next one, homies.